Welcome to another Friday live stream. My name's Cade. This is Retainer Designer, and I do videos in the Ortho Lab, and that's about it. You know, nothing fancy here. But anyway, hope y'all are doing good. If you're watching the recording, I go live every Friday as best as I can, and I try to go around noontime. It is not noontime, it is almost 3, but we're still good. But be sure and subscribe and click the little bell icon, and it'll notify you whenever I schedule a live stream. And if you don't know me, again, my name is Cade. My wife and I own a small little lab out in the country, this little building that we've built here for our lab. And we own an Ortho Lab. We make retainers and appliances and stuff all day. So if you ever want to catch this live, be sure and do the subscribe thing and the bell, and then that way I can you can join me live. So let's see, we already got some people coming in. Oh, Amy's back. Hello, Amy. I actually was in time for you to join us. That's great. Dental things. All right, just made it just in time. I bet you're in the middle of teaching right now, aren't you? Dental things. So hopefully I'm not ruining your class time right now. But anyway, today is just an acrylic day. I have all these behind me. There's 6 of them. Yeah, 6. And they all happen to have labial acrylic. So I thought, well, I'll just kind of do a short little live stream where I go over how I do my labial acrylic. I've kind of done a few with my fancy hot glue gun with my orange hot glue stick in here. And I've done some with my wax, which I have on this thing. This is my light over my work. And when I turn it on, it warms this up, and it warms up my utility wax. Makes it perfect for adapting to the model and stuff. But I'll show you that when we get over to this view right here. But that being said, funny thing happened today. We heard the chickens. I was drinking my cup here, and there's Pete on the back. If you're interested in this cup, it's down below if you're watching on YouTube. But Pete was causing a ruckus, and all the chickens were causing a ruckus, and my wife went outside to look to see what's going on, and we saw a blimp go by our house. We're out in the country, out in the middle of nowhere. We just see this like blimp go by in the clouds. I'll take a picture. I should have uploaded it here so y'all can see it. And the chickens did not like it. But on the blimp was Charles Barkley. So it was a Capital One blimp. I guess it was going to or from NCAA Final Four in Arizona. And so it was like passing over our house. It was crazy to go outside and see that. But yeah, the chickens did not like that blimp going over. But yeah, Amy, yep, Pete, I have him on my coffee cup now. So maybe y'all hear him. He's been quiet the last few live streams. I don't know what's going on. But let's get started. First things first, my pressure pot over there is done for, I guess. Yesterday, the wife and I were in the office up there, up in the front. We heard this clunk, or the ka-chunk. We heard it twice. And I was like, that sounded like the pressure pot. And I looked, and the little red light was off. And usually that red light, the lower part of the pressure pot, let's see if I can do this. Lower part of that pressure pot is the heater element. I think the heater element went out on my pressure pot, so I don't have heat there anymore. And if y'all know, the pressure pot does 2 things. Provides pressure, it raises atmospheric pressure, prevents bubbles from forming in your acrylic, and then the heat helps your acrylic cure faster and maybe stronger too. But the pressure helps with the strong, and the heat probably helps with the strong too, but it helps it cure faster. So first things first, I'm going to be changing out the water. Yes, Amy. Yeah, I assume you were saying cool for the blimp. Yeah, the blimp was pretty cool. Sarah came in. Kate, you got to come see this. Yes. I wonder if I have this on my phone here. Oh, look, it's a fancy case that I have on my phone. It's because your official mascot needs to be. I agree. Yeah, that's why I put him on this cup. And he's got a blurry head. I don't know why they printed it with a blurry head, but anyway. And there's water in there, I swear. But I do have him in here just in case. Yeah, he's definitely the mascot of the place, and I can do that. Okay, I'm having too much fun. Comments. All right. I wonder if I can pull up this blimp that was flying over our house on my phone. Oh yeah, that came in good. See that blimp? Isn't that crazy? The Capital One, I think they call it the Chuck blimp or something like that, or Ugly Chucky. I don't know. Anyway, but let's go change that water out, and then we'll get started on the acrylic. So let's change out the. I'm going to show you what I do anyway when I start the day. Is I have this red bucket here that's always here. And this is a cheap little bucket I got from Home Depot in the paint section. So I guess it's to hold the paint while you mix it or something like that. So I'll take the old water, and I usually change up my water once a day. And I'll take a paper towel that I keep over here, and I'll wipe it out. Because you'll be surprised how grimy this will get. And throw that away. And then I'm going to run over to the sink real quick. And I just use hot tap water. I rinse out the bucket. I don't have a camera over here, sorry. And I just fill it up. Now this should be good for all 6, but I may have to change it out. It can cure in cold water. This acrylic is called cold cure. That means it'll cure without heat. Like dentures and stuff, that denture acrylic, that's that you have to have heat to cure there. But you got my nice clean water in there and my cup, and I'm going to close the lid on here just to keep that heat in. Now the pressure part still works, so you can see. So the pressure part still works. That heater went out. Either I got to change the switch or the fuse or something. I don't know. But let's go to the next. That one. All right. So this one is going to be pink pearl. So I'll go ahead and get that out here. And do I need to fill up my... I got to be careful. There's some blue glitter there. I should have... You know what? Let me do that. Just to be safe. Move all my stuff. And this is a Silpat mat. I bought this from JBC & Company. They actually sell them. And it's pretty good mat for acrylic, because any acrylic on here will just peel off. You see I've abused this mat pretty good, but the acrylic peels off pretty good. So every once in a while I'll just go in here and just peel off the bulk of acrylic. But I also put a towel down just to, let's see, can I see my camera? Yeah. I put a towel down just, to help clean up, especially with like glitter and stuff, because glitter will get all over everything else. I carry 2 types of acrylic in here, and it's a little experiment I've been doing for like a half a year. One is this super fine splint polymer from JBC. It's what I use to make splints with. I use this for the labial acrylic. And then the ortho powder is just your basic ortho powder, non-slumping or low slump powder, clear. Not as crystal clear as this one. When it comes out, it looks a little cloudy, but you can't really tell unless they're side by side. But I use that for the inside acrylic. And so I have two different bottles here. This Elmer's Glue one holds that 401 regular acrylic, and then this one holds my splint acrylic. This Boston Round is what it's called. And actually these are all the same bottles. They just have different tips. And then I have two different monomers. I have your basic, what they call crystal clear monomer, and I have tinted clear monomer. So this splint acrylic and this tinted clear model is what I use for labial acrylic. And so I usually start out with that. Those are pretty full. This one I need to refill. I always keep a funnel here, and I'll just fill it up. Or you could get like 4 or 5 of these bottles. If you do this all day, I can see if any of y'all are out there and y'all do acrylic all day, it'd be neat to get some tips and tricks from y'all. Because I do, I'm jack of all trade, master of none. But I bet y'all probably have, I know in the lab we worked at, we'd have like 8 of these all filled, ready to go for our acrylic guy. All right, so this is the upper one. This is the only upper one. Oh, I see some comments. I gotta come over here. I guess before we get totally started. Bastian Andres Vargas Rojas. Oh, that's pretty good. Hello, what's the best orthodontic professor doing? Hi, I guess that's me. I'm just like you, man. Just sharing my knowledge with everybody. Amy, I hate glitter. I work with kids and glitter is not allowed unless it's glitter glue, because the glitter glue will contain it. And this will contain glitter, but only after it's cured. But until then, so that whole bottom row right there is glitter on that shelf. So we have lots of glitter, but the kids love the glitter. But it does get all everything. And then you're doing a splint, and it's got to be crystal clear and perfect. And then you cure it, and you trim it, and you pumice it, and you look in there, and there's a speck of glitter in there. I'm telling you, glitter is like herpes. It just gets all over everything. But, all right, let's go back to that one. And let's start the first one. And I always start with the labial acrylic. So I use this tinted clear monomer and this splint acrylic. When these are done, I'll take a picture so you can see how nice and clear and this comes out. When it's a long span, you probably noticed, I call this labial bow 4-4. It goes around the distal of the first bicuspids. This is this doctor's. These are all from the same doctor, and they want it all the same design. And it's always 4-4. And that way, and he always gets labial acrylic, and that way the acrylic encases the canines and they don't go anywhere. Because if it goes 2-2, and you don't have, anything holding in the canines, maybe they'll float around or something like that. And it also adds some retention. So I got the labial bow done. I always put a coat of acrylic. But when it's a long span like that, I'll maybe do half, build it up, and then do another half. Notice how thick I made that. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit. That was away. Zoom in, Kate. Zoom in. And so it's a little thick, but we trim it down, and it makes it nice and clear. Because as this, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I got to talking. So what I do is, here in the state of Texas, we put names in the retainers. It's state law. So I put names in all my retainers. I'm trying to grab a name real quick. I'm lucky my wife prints these up so I don't have to. It's just a P-Touch labeler that I use. And I just put it on the tissue side. So it's facing the tissue side. And always keep an eye out on your labial acrylic. See, it's already starting to slump. You tap the model a bit. And then I'm going to put a little bit more on there. Now this, Amy, this does have glitter in it, but it's a really cool pink pearl. It's real tiny, tiny, tiny glitter. like opalescent, I guess. Something's wrong with it. Oh, there it goes. I guess I have a clog in there, or there's might be a bigger chunk of acrylic in my spray bottle. So I always start on this side because it'll cure faster, and then work my way to this side. And then as I work on this side, as I have any monomer that spills over, this is already starting to cure. And that's another reason why I do the labial acrylic so thick. Is as it cures, it'll crystallize, and it'll crystallize from that the outside in. And so if you make it thick enough, you can just trim off all that crystallization. I can't get. There we go. Just squeeze harder, Kate, I guess. You're seeing me squirt a lot on here, but it's really just tiny droplets instead of just doing this big droplet thing. I tend to do that if I think the polymer, the dyes in the polymer are going to separate with the big droplets. So use smaller droplets. That way there's smaller radiuses of polymer. Like it'll especially blue polymers. If I have one coming up, you'll see it. That dye in that polymer will go to the outside of the droplet. So I'm going to put a little bit of acrylic here. I'm going to go ahead and cut this so I can actually get this off the model after it's cured. So I'm going to cut this here. Cut this here. And cut along the incisal edge. Be careful not to cut into the wire. So it's always good to know where your wire is in the acrylic. You can't really see it, but you just kind of got to remember where you bent that thing. This cut don't necessarily have to do because I'm cutting into the acrylic, or sorry, the wax that was there. And I didn't go over that wax. I'll go over it on the next one. That's kind of, either I didn't wet that or it's not crystallized. If I was doing a lot of these with no labial acrylic, I would set it aside like this and start the lower, or start the next one, and then I monitor it, because the best thing to do on these 3D printed models is have your acrylic cured just a little bit before you make your cuts. See how it's kind of coming off in one piece? It's not smearing or anything. It's nice for it to come off in one clean piece. So hopefully you can see. You can also check your thickness, make sure your thickness is good. And you want a nice sharp edge, and that's going to help you to remove this, and we'll remove these later. I'm going to put a little bit of dust of acrylic in there just in case it slumps in the pressure pot. Because as I cut that onto that model, I've removed the separator. So I put that one on the pressure pot, on the cup that's in there. And put my thing back, and then I move this over to the other side, over there. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. There. So I'll take this pan, and I go from this side and I put it over here on this side. And then, that stacks up there. And then my wife, she comes in and takes over from here, so she'll come and get it out of the pressure pot, match it up to the case pans, and take it over to her station over there. All right, what's the next color? The next color is turquoise sparkle. Oh, glitter. Great. There we go, turquoise sparkle. And I got new turquoise sparkle. Yeah. As long as I don't have to clean it up. Yeah, it's a cleanup. It gets all over everything. that glitter does, and I'm about to do more. So I'll just go right into the next one. Again, I'll switch over. So as you can see, I can discuss now what I did. That one I had wax here. Let's see if I have it. So here's a wax, that utility wax, and then here's that hot glue gun. I'll go back and forth. This one cleans up easier. It just peels right off, and I'll show it when we separate these off the model. Hopefully we don't get any breaks. And then the next thing that's different on here is I've created these plaster bases, because these print in arch form, and they're a little hard for me to handle, like this one. I didn't put one on there as an example. And you'll see when I get to that one, my hand cramps up. But, you know, whenever I pour an impression or mount models for a splint, and I have extra plaster left over, we all do that. Oop, I was using the wrong color monomer. You know, we all have, we don't measure right or something like that. I will make a little patty with it, with that extra plaster, and then I'll trim it down into this shape, this base shape. You can see that it looks like Swiss cheese because how much time this thing spent in the pressure pot. Because if y'all don't know, the water compared to this plaster, the water acts like an acid, even though it's supposed to be neutral. And it'll eat away at this base and get these pock holes. There we go. Not as thick, but I think I got it covered good. So whenever it's glitter, I do use this tinted clear. This one will yellow, so I mainly use it with colored polymers. But since I'm doing this with glitter, and it's only glitter and clear polymer, I'll use the tinted clear monomer, and that make it super clear. They won't yellow as much. And then I'm going to put the name in here. Just slide it up underneath this wire. Maybe this wire. I usually slide it under the wire, it helps hold it down. And always checking that labial acrylic as you're sprinkling the body of this. With the glitter, I usually try to go 2 to 3 coats, depending on how well it's coating. I usually do the lowers in 3 sections, so I'll start on this right side, and then I'll move to the left side, and then I'll do the middle. There's probably something to be said about how you handle laying your bottles down, where they're easy to grab. You know, do you lay it down flat like that or prop it up? Because when I pick it up, I have to flip it in my hand. So I'll be curious, those of you that do acrylic, do you lay them down flat like that? Priscilla, the owner of JBC & Company, where I order all my acrylics from, she was at the conference a couple weeks ago. It was nice. She did some hands-on demos of acrylicing. She actually holds it in her, that's why she chose this. Man, that glitter just went everywhere. She holds it with her fingers like this and then does a dropper with her other 2 fingers. And so she doesn't ever have to put anything down. Pretty cool technique. And I'm just building up the body. Any thin spots, I'll fill it in. I always tend to start with monomer first, and that way the acrylic will stick to it, stick to the model. If I remember, I will. Ooh, what is that? I don't want to mess with it too much. There's something white in there. I'll bet that's stuck to the model. For some reason, this turquoise glitter is super slippery. Also has a lot to do with the humidity in here. I turned on the AC right before we started. It's been kind of a cool day here in Texas. So I have long sleeve on, and then I started getting ready for this live stream and started getting hot and sweaty, and so I turned on the AC, and the AC dries out the air in here, which is good in some sense, but sometimes it, you know, you get it almost like a static clean sometime with the polymer. So I'm ready to cut the labial acrylic. I'm just going to squirt some monomer on there. Now I think I mentioned this in a live stream before. I wonder what a good ratio is, because as you can see, this doesn't take too long, and you can't take too long. You know, you got to get this sprinkled within 5 to 10 minutes, or it starts setting up on you. So I kind of wonder what the ratio is, since you can do this so quick. How many wire benders per how many acrylic people? And from my experience, you need less acrylic people than you need wire benders. One good, well-trained acrylic person could probably hold her own against 4 wire benders, so 4 to 1 almost. Because, you know, if you think about it, sprinkling a holly as compared to sprinkling a wraparound is about the same time. But the wire bending will take longer on the wraparound. So, and I guess the opposite's true. You know, you get, oh, it's all over my hand. You get, you know, a splint and 2 ball clasps. You know, the prepping takes longer than the wire bending, and then the acrylic takes longer than the wire bending also. And probably the prepping together, you gotta sprinkle that pretty quick. So I'm just cleaning this out under here. I'm trying to make a nice, sharp, clean line. Wherever I scrape, I remove separator, not on purpose. It just, that's the way the separator is. So I just need to make sure that no new wet acrylic, powder is fine on it, but no new wet acrylic is on there. Let me switch cameras real quick. To there. Now hopefully you'll be able to see my hybrid system I learned from my ex-boss, Jason. He gets a coffee cup, the initial set, so it's already set, puts it on the cup, and the next one goes on the cup. And I'll just keep doing that. And I'll just work my way around. And it's still warm. Sorry there. Yep, it's still warm, so we're still good. All right, let's check for dental. Yep, so many snowman plaster models scattered around my bench from kids getting the leftovers. Oh, snowman plaster from the extra plaster. I didn't even think about making snowmen out of it. I use them to make those plaster bases. Speaking of plaster bases, this one doesn't have one, so you'll see my hand cramp as I try to sprinkle that one. I left it off on purpose just to show you the difference. You probably can't tell the difference. I can tell because it hurts my hand. I'm being, you know, a little extra on that. Let me try to get most of the glitter out of here. You know, the worst thing is to have your bottle lay down and glitter and roll in it, and then it gets all over it. I'm actually going to blow that off a little bit. Of course, I'm doing this. I haven't looked at the color yet. Dolphin Gray. Oh, my gosh. Oh, great. I chose the wrong one not to put a base on. All right, Dolphin Gray. Let's see, I think I'm out. Oh, there's a good example of how... So I bought a new one, so I started getting low. I bought a new one. So this Dolphin Gray, it's as cool as gray can get. It's a pretty cool gray. I like it. So whenever I get low like this, I'll actually unscrew this And I'll get a pair of scissors, and I'll, instead of using a funnel, because I tend to dedicate this funnel to my clear acrylics. So then I'll just cut that tip off, and you see how it comes out pretty good. There we go. And then I'll throw this away. Oh, there goes Pete. I don't know if y'all hear Pete with all my equipment running or not, but okay. Oh, my wire's a little far out there, but I think I'm good. All right, always start with labial acrylic first, and the reason is, if you have a colored monomer or polymer on the inside, you'll notice it will spill over on the teeth. And so if you spill the color over onto the front of the teeth first, and then you put your clear acrylic on top of that, you can't get that color out. You've just incorporated that color, and God forbid it, it's yellow or something, and makes the kids' teeth yellow because they now have yellow color in their labial acrylic. I don't think they'll be too happy. Or, glitter or something like that. Now, I have seen some labs that offer a glitter labial bow, and there are some kids that would absolutely love that, which is easy to do. You just grab whatever you want for your labial bow. I don't know if I've ever gotten a request for a glitter labial bow or some sort of colored monomer labial bow. There we go. So now I'm ready to go on the inside, and I'll grab my low slump. See how it builds so much better? It kind of holds its spot. Let me put the name in before I forget. I'll get to talking and forget to put the name in. So I'm just going to slide that up underneath that wire. It will come off my tweezers here. Come on now. Sometimes you got to use a little poking and prodding. Let's hold that in place. All right. So let me show you. So this is that one. So you can see it slides off pretty easy. This one kind of holds itself. It fills up. It's got bigger pieces, bigger acrylic pieces in it, so it holds itself better. All right. So now for the dolphin gray. Now, when I was cussing earlier about choosing dolphin gray on the one that I don't have a model for, or I don't have the base for, you'll see why. It blends. It looks like the model. This is the one color that is the exact color of my 3D printer resin. It just blends right in. It'll trick you. I need to clean out that tip. That's a new tip. Sometimes I use one of these things, and I'll poke it into that hole right there and ream it out a little bit. Or I'll just break that tip off. Done that before. I got a little aggressive with that. There we go. Always keep an eye on it. It's always going to try to slump on you. And I did ask Priscilla when she makes the glitter polymers, the ones that are, I buy them pre-mixed. And I asked Priscilla, what type of acrylic she uses for that clear polymer that's holding, the glitter in suspension. She said she uses splint. So I used to use splint all the time for everything. It does make it a little harder to trim. It's not bad if you have nice sharp burrs, but I started using this low slump as an experiment and I've enjoyed it. It's nice not to have to worry too much about it slumping on me. But you can see that this is just absolutely the exact color of the model. So it's hard to tell how thick you got it. So I'm going to put a little bit of, I usually put a little bit of clear so it goes under my wire so that I can see my wire whenever I go to trim these. Now, one thing that those plaster bases, they provide a nice base to hold the acrylic from spilling over onto this side. So you can see all this here. It prevents that. One reason I spray a little bit of acrylic on there, almost acts like a lubricant, where my knife can slide easily through it. You can see how that's peeling off in a nice ribbon. That means it's a good. If you wait too long, it'll start peeling up. But usually, so now I gotta. Sorry, losing my train of thought. One bad thing about doing live streaming and trying to talk while you're doing acrylic is you're on a time crunch. This thing's curing, and like I was saying before, it's cold cure, and you can actually bench cure this stuff. You do not need a pressure pot to cure this, but the pressure pot makes that acrylic really nice and clear, bubble free, crystallization free, all that stuff. So you see nice, clear, clean lines there. That's going to make it easier to pull off the model. Sometimes if I think I've over poured on the occlusion or something, you can clean that up too. But that's why I paint everything, because you're going to have spillover everywhere whenever you're doing acrylic. All right, into the water you go, onto the cup you go. This technique is really better for stone bottles because many of you know they'll bubble out. I don't know if you can tell in here. There's tiny little bubbles from this being in the water. If I can remember, whenever I dunk this in the water, I'll try to put the camera over it. Maybe you can see the bubbles coming out of the stone. Well, that's what would happen if this whole thing was plaster. And that's why you either got to pre-soak your stone models before you sprinkle, or you have to steam method cure this, which means put it on a cup or a platform or something and just water underneath it, not touching it. All right, so that was Dolphin Gray. So the next one is Royal Blueberry. Royal Blue. Oh, I'm almost out. Did I order any? Yes, I did. So you can see I started getting low, and so I ordered some more. So I'm going to do the same thing. Take this. Cut the tip off so it pours easier, and then the tip becomes the funnel itself. And I don't know if I mentioned before, I just buy these in 4 ounces at a time. If you do a lot of one color, you can buy them in pounds. So like this is a pound. of acrylic, so I use a lot of this acrylic. So I buy them in pounds. I used to buy them in 5 pounds, which will last a long 3 or 4 months. Let's see. Oh, you can hear Pete. Yay! You got to hear Pete. Just wondering, Amy, what are your top 5 most popular colors that you use? Oh, that's a good question. It comes in batches. I would say luminary pink, luminary blue are definitely in the top 5. Probably royal pink, royal blue, bottom 5. Those don't glow, but they're a little bit more translucent. And then I have some. I have this one, peacock blue. It's like a blue and green glitter mixed together. And then carnival blue, which is more purple, blue stuff mixed together. Those two are real popular. So I would say that. Luminary pink, luminary blue, royal pink, royal blue. And then the glitters would fill up the rest of it. And mainly those carnival blue and peacock blue. Okay. One bad thing about this isn't hair, if you're wondering, that I'm pulling off of here. It's the hot glue. If y'all have ever messed with hot glue, it leaves these little hairs all over it, and so you gotta do it. Not just hot glue it to the base. It holds it secure enough just to give me a grip to sprinkle this, and my model holder, so it fits in my model holder really good. Again, start with labial acrylic. I'm just doing one side. And notice this one, I did use a hot glue gun to attach it to the base. There's really no other good method. You can use probably super glue, I guess. But, you know, then it fuses. I like to be able to remove this off the base pretty quickly. And I can do that straight out of the pressure pot. And so the hot glue warms up, it gives a little bit, and you can remove it off the plate pretty good. Now, another thing I've been doing lately is I'll take my finger and I'll drag it across that wax and pull up some of that acrylic. Otherwise, you got to grind it off. So, like I was saying last week's, you know, how fast can I bend a holly and make a holly start to finish? The things you do in the step before, the more things you do, the more prep work you do in the step before makes the next step go by a lot quicker. So then toward the end, you're just flying. So that would be less that I have to cut or I have to trim off. So the more you can remove, and that's another reason there's 2 reasons I cut the wet acrylic on the model. Before 3D printed models, you necessarily didn't have to cut it. You could trim it off almost just as fast using that big wheel on a lathe or something. But with these 3D printed models, I kind of lost my train of thought there. It's good to cut the wet acrylic, uncured acrylic before it cures, because you really want to give you a nice sharp purchase area to separate this off the model. So I'm just going back, always checking the front, make sure it's not slumping on me. And it all becomes a habit. Now this is a type of blue, so let's see if I do big drops, if you can see the difference. See how that's all separated in there? You can't see nothing. I hope you can see that. So I'll use tiny droplets like that, and that will help disguise that separation that happens with these kind of blue polymers. So now I'm just kind of filling in where I see some thin spots, mainly right here. That whole area looks a little thin. I'll add it. I tend to top off with clear acrylic, almost like a clear coat on a car paint job, and that helps to, if your acrylic's undulating, it's a fancy word. That's the word of the day, undulating. If your acrylic is undulating, it will help level that out. And if it's clear, you can't tell it's wavy underneath. All right, now let's cut that's my next step, is always just cut the labial acrylic here. Again, I want a nice sharp cut as best as I can without cutting into the wire. I've done that before, and that is not fun to repair later, because you got to re-prep that whole model all again, paint it on twice, do all that stuff. I didn't cut this end. Somebody's here. That's on me. Now, one thing I always have to do is, before I go back to wire bending, man, I have to wash my hands. And notice I'm not using gloves. If you can get used to wearing gloves when you do this, it's all the better. It's just I've gotten used to I can't find a good pair of gloves that fit without wrinkling up on me, and then I'm sitting there adjusting my gloves. Like a pair of baggy pants or something. They're just getting in my way. So I'm just cleaning this up, making sure I got a nice sharp line in there. There we go. Put some acrylic on that sharp line so that if it does slump, it'll slump onto that powder. So I didn't really need to cut that because I did the thing where I did the thing. Yep, this is starting to cool down. Got two more to do. All right, what's the next color? Black. Okay, that's a whole nother thing to work with. Now, Amy, that is another popular color, is black. This one is actually black opaque liquid. So this is this the first colored liquid? I think it is. So this is a treat. I might need to change out that warm water when I get done with this one. All right, this is my black monomer liquid. I feel like I've hit this and it's not showing the whole thing. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my camera here. See how black that is? This is another reason you definitely want to do labial acrylic first. Especially these colored monomers. They will stain like food coloring all over everything. They'll stain your fingers. And if this stains my fingers, I'll show you a trick I do to remove the stains. Again, if you can use gloves, use them. There's some people that start developing an allergy to the acrylic, and they'll have allergic reactions. They got to start wearing gloves. And sometimes it happens after doing this for 20 or 30 years. Just start developing an allergy out of the blue. It's like your body's like, I'm done. You've put enough polymer or monomer inside of me. I'm rejecting everything that comes in contact with that now. So hopefully that doesn't happen to me. I do know of some people using liquid gloves. So especially my boss, ex-boss Jason, he would use liquid gloves. And that was just like a lotion, but it would coat your hands with a thin coat of, whatever, and help provide like a separator for your hands like you would for the models. This is where my white labels would come in handy. We used to use black labels, and then we would switch over to these white ones just for these black retainers. Oh, get off of my tweezers, dummy. Okay. I like to yell at the name sometimes. Not the person, just the name. There we go. Tuck it up underneath the wire. See, it's starting to kind of slump on me. All right. So we would use these white. We started using these white on clear names, so that they would show up in the black acrylic. You see how that just went right across the front teeth? If you didn't have your labial acrylic there, it would be under your acrylic. It's better to have it on top of the acrylic, and that way you can trim it off later. But this black is just it's like slick. It just shoots off and runs. But you don't need much coverage. You see, just absolutely covered that wire. And when doing acrylic, I kind of judge the thickness of my acrylic based on, can I see the wire? But it has a lot to do with the color of the acrylic too. So if you're using black, be careful, because you can tend to make your retainers thin because you think you're covering the wires well, but you're not. It's just super black. So this is real important to get that clear acrylic up underneath the wires, so you can see them on the underside of the retainer whenever you go to bulk trim it. That's the worst sound, is you're trimming a retainer with that big wheel in here. I don't know if this is working. That was crazy. I don't know what's going on. Am I not connected? Am I here? Can y'all hear me? That was, oh, I couldn't get my camera to turn back on. That was just like a blip. Back in action. Okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, y'all just laughing. Steve, yeah, Pete probably cut the wire. Oh my gosh. We do have cameras, and my wife has a video of a coyote taking one of her ducks the other night. That was sad. Blackout. Yeah, start a new trend here. Let me see if I can get my right camera. This is the wrong camera. Man, my web browser did not want to connect to my camera after that. Hope that doesn't happen again. Okay, now I'm back. I got it on the right one, right? Yep. Okay, that was crazy. Pete said he provides the entertainment and now wants an agent. I agree with that. There he goes. He just crowed. I don't know if you heard that or not. That was weird. Everything. I thought I had my internet on battery backup. I gotta go check that because internet should have stayed up, but my video switcher is not on battery backup, so it went blank. And then the web browser was like, "Hey, we're not getting a feed from your camera." And then I was like, "No, here's the feed." And they go, "Oh, do you have Zoom connected?" I'm like, "No." It thought I was connected to another thing. But we got one more. Let's see if we can get it done. We got that black one. That's the worst thing with doing anything with acrylic is, man, someone comes in and wants to talk to you or something like that. It really, you can't do anything with the acrylic. You know, you just got to finish your job. You know, you got to finish the acrylic job, or else it's going to be half cured, or you'll forget to cure it or something. This one is Royal Purple. Amy, that is another popular one. If Steve's still here, maybe he can shed some light on his most popular colors. He does. So, again, just doing a little labial acrylic. I have my model here. And again, all these are like 4x4 labial bows, so they're kind of long span. So it's a long span of acrylic, which also makes this acrylic hard to deal with. A little harder to take off the model because it's on a curve. So that's why I put so much effort into, you know, blocking out, creating this like dam with the acrylic, or sorry, with the hot glue. Steve, I guess I should have sent you a link, and you could have just taken over and, like, you know, told jokes or something while I get all fixed back up. Or we could just start playing a video from your channel. That would really confuse people if they tuned in to the live stream and there's a video from your channel. So you see, this goes pretty quick considering, but man, that labial acrylic, ooh, I don't want to put black in there. That labial acrylic just adds a little bit more complexity. You got to baby it, maintain it, make sure that thing doesn't slump. That's the worst, is you build all this up and it slumps because, you know, your power goes out and you get distracted. I would not be surprised if that black one we were doing, oh, that's funny. We were doing the black one, we got a blackout. I think I just got your joke, Steve. That was pretty good. But we were doing that black one, and I got so distracted trying to reboot the computer and everything that I don't think I got good cuts on there on my acrylic. Ooh, I've really reamed out that hole. That did not come out good. The tip, that's all bad. That's really coming out fast. I'm just gonna shut up right now. Oh, use some gravity, get that slump back. Man, I must have used a burr on that bottle, that tip on that bottle, to get it to get out of there that quick. Now what I've seen Steve do is he'll do this and then he'll use like purple monomer with it, and that really makes the color vibrant. Especially with his tie-dye ones, those are beautiful. I think I'm too lazy to get the monomer out with the colored polymer. There we go, there's some thin spots here. Alright, while that's setting, let me cut this. Put a little monomer on there, make it easy to cut. Peel that away. Cut that, peel that away. Run this right along the edge of the teeth. Peel that away. Usually by this time you don't have to worry about the labial acrylic slumping. It's already got its initial set. Come on. But pay attention to the middle. That's another reason why I like this plaster base here. Is I'm going to clean off my tools. Put a little acrylic there. A little dirty, but it'll do. Now let me pull one out and we'll start separating it. Switch cameras real quick. Okay. So as you can see, we have them all in there. Put that in there. I'm gonna grab that first one. The water's still slightly warm, but I'm going to miss having that staying warm on for me. So let's see if I can separate this without breaking it. So here's the wax, what it looks like. And what I'll usually do is scrape it pretty hard. And you can see I'm making that labial acrylic is, there it goes. You can see it release, it turns frosty for a split second. There it goes. So I got the labial bow loose, so I usually just use this towel and I'll slide my knife under here and do a little lift action. I don't know if I can zoom in or not. There we go. So far so good. There we go. Got it off. And then you steam clean this off. I'll usually if it's cold like that, it peels off pretty easily. When it's warm, it'll just mush around. So let me grab another one. Looks like my camera is trying to let me do it over here. So here is the one with one of those the plaster base. So I can usually peel that off, and then this peels off, and then grab this and you just peel this off. Maybe not. There we go. See how it peels it off, and it makes it a nice, clean line there. And I'll usually just slide my knife up. Usually all I have to do is just slide it up underneath that, and it will release that labial bow. And then I'll take my knife and rock it back and forth, and it will release the labial bow off the front. Always clean off your sticky wax. And then here's the tricky part. I try to get my knife up underneath one of these cuts that I made. That one is too close to the edge. So I'll usually, yep, here we go. What I may have to go do is go dunk this in warm water. There we go. Did I break it? Nope, I didn't break it. Yay. It's scary because it releases all of a sudden and you think you break it. But that's how that goes. Let me see if I'll grab one more. I know I'm pushing my limit here. Here's one without that plaster base on there. So let's see how this goes. So this one I had to be careful with. This is that dolphin gray. So I'm sliding my knife up underneath the adjustment loop, kind of doing a rock back and forth. Clean off all the sticky wax. You'll be amazed how well this, once it cools, the sticky wax, how well it sticks back to the, hold all the wires back on. Alright, so now I'm going to hold this here. I'm going to just slide this like that. Ooh, that did good. And it just looks like I'm taking off a layer of this resin. Alright, get off of there. There we go. So, it's really cool whenever you finish it. And probably from back there you can see the name. Turned out pretty good. I like that white label. We use it on everything now. What I was saying before is we're just switching over to black, but we rarely do a white retainer. So pretty much this works on every single color except, it works on white too, because the white's a little off-white, and so it's a good contrast. So I'll wash my hands. Like I was saying before, if I go back to wire bending, I hate having that powder and stuff on my hands. I didn't seem to get that black acrylic on my hands, surprisingly, during the blackout phase of the live stream. But my trick is I'll just spray some clear monomer on it and rub my fingers together. I just rub my fingers like this, put some monomer on it, and do it like that. Hello, greetings from Tennessee. Well, maybe you missed the blackout part of the whole thing. Okay, hot pink glow. JBC color is really vibrant. I just bought some sunset today because of your last week. I'm telling you, that sunset's the best. And I think Dobson Ortho Lab if you don't know them, they're the ones that did. Remember, Steve, we interviewed them. They're the ones that did How It's Made. Their color for their logo is that sunset orange. So whenever I posted it, he goes, "You did it in the wrong color," and I was like, "No, that's sunset orange. That's not Dobson Ortho Lab orange." But yeah, that sunset orange is got to be my favorite. Now the glow orange and the royal orange are pretty good too. The sunset's a little not as fluorescent, I guess. The luminary blaze yellow is not near as popular. You see, this is the original one I bought. This luminary blaze yellow, just not as popular. It's not as popular as this orange one. This orange one's pretty luminary, but you can see it's kind of yellow orange. Kind of looks like American sliced cheese Velveeta or something when you're done. But yeah, a bit glitchy by the pressure pot. It's that camera. Is it still like that? I'm using look at that. I'm gonna have to figure something else out. I'm already over here. My hand's still waving over there. So I had to move it to the other one. I'm gonna have to figure something out. So that's using NDI. I'm figuring out new technology for cameras and stuff. But let me show you this. I'm proud of this. So I got this camera. Well, now, probably because I was standing in front of, so it runs off Wi-Fi to my router that's behind me. So I bet I was standing in the way of the Wi-Fi. But I do have an official case on here for my retainer. It matches my other phone. So this is my lab phone. So all the doctors call and text me on this. This is my personal phone, but I want to get different colors. So I can, and it makes for a great conversation starter at the thing. But yeah, that's why that is glitchy. I just turned it off. It's the input of it's too much. But anyway, yeah, back to what you're saying, Steve. Those colors are very vibrant, and in fact, her red is actually red. I think I've done a test on that before on the channel. Whereas the Great Lakes one, we're all used to it, but it's pinkish. So she's made luminary red and luminary coral red. So those are so this is luminary red, this is luminary coral red. So this looks more like the Great Lakes. So it's easier for people to transition over because this will actually be red when you add monomer to it. In fact, here, I got the camera set up. I can do that. One last thing before we go. I like showing that part off. Let me get a new paper towel here. So here is luminary red. Here is coral red. It's almost fluorescent-ish. But when you add monomer to this luminary red, it gets pretty dark. You gotta stack a few to really see it. So if you ever wonder what this coral red is, it's the closest thing she could get to the Great Lakes red. This red is more I don't know how to say it, quiet. I don't know if you can see the colors on there very good, but yeah, this is supposed to be the Great Lakes red, and this is her red, which is more natural red, I guess. Your setup is awesome, though. You go to great lengths to bring us a great video. Thank you for your hard work on the. I appreciate the kind words. Yeah, I like doing this kind of stuff. It's my nerd. People have hobbies like hunting or fishing, and I play with cameras and gears and stuff and kind of think. Eventually, I want to get it set up in here where there's cameras that are like permanent, and so at any moment, notice I can just turn them all on and just go live or record. Or I'm getting closer to that point, especially when I start doing videos for the school that I want to do, the little online course that I'd like to build. I want to be able to just, at the end of the day, if I have some time, because sometimes this takes an hour to set up, but if it's already set up, I can just turn everything on and do it. So I appreciate that, Amy. But with that being said, that was Labial Acrylic. I had 6 retainers, 4x4 labial bow with 3x3 acrylic. Long span, kind of hard to do. Stay tuned. I will post some end results today or tomorrow, so you can see the nice clear splint acrylic that I use with the tinted clear monomer, and that way you can see the difference in there. But that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a day, and I will see y'all next time. Hold on to your ears. I don't know how loud this is gonna be, but where's my outro here? Okay. So until next time, there's Pete, and he says, happy bending.
Ah.